Morning, guys. Happy Tuesday. You know, I often say to you that the news grants a lot of perspectives. I know too many videos, but babe,
it's gonna say film.
it is. Trace knows that when you use Daddy's camera too often, it fills up all the storage in the iPhone. We've gotten in trouble for that recently. So, okay, what I was going to say is that oftentimes the news really offers perspective that you couldn't have yourself. And last night I got a big dose of that because I sat down to work, and periodically with the website that we built, which creates the cards that you see when you go to smarternews.com, we've had a problem with data being lost. So I could spend a couple hours on a card on a topic and then save it for the 20th time, and it'll revert back to a version that I had an hour ago. So you can imagine how maddening that can be at 10 o'clock at night when you're tired and you've done the work already, and now you keep losing it. And that's what was happening to me last night, which has happened again periodically. A website's sort of like a car. You got to bring it in for service. It just is what it is. So that was happening last night, and then all of a sudden I thought, oh no, I forgot. Tomorrow is the Grand Canyon's 100th birthday. Trace, you have to listen to this story. This is a good story. So I start reading about how the Grand Canyon came to be, and it turns out a Civil War veteran who fought in the... Speaking of Civil Wars, what is it really worth crying over?
Yeah,
Do you see Liberty? Liberty? That's not nice. That's not nice. Trace is also not worth those tears. How many frittata do I have right there? We have a stolen frittata in the kitchen. It's a stolen frittata. Go. You should say you're sorry to your brother. Sorry, Trace, with the full mouth. How many more would you like? Do you want 2 more? You want 2 more? Okay. 3 more. Okay. This is what we're fighting over, just so that we have a lot of perspective about what's going on. Thank you, Liberty. You don't food. These are little frittatas. My grandmother, Josephine, taught me this recipe, and it's awesome. Almost foolproof. So this is whatever. And it has green stuff in it.
Why did she taught you?
She taught me because that's what grandmas are supposed to do. They teach you how to cook. Okay, where was I? Speaking of perspective, what I was telling you is that, here I am researching the Grand Canyon. Turns out that this Civil War veteran, a guy who lost his arm in battle, so he only has one usable arm, is responsible for leading the expedition to explore the Grand Canyon. And not everyone made it in that first expedition he did. And without him, we wouldn't have seen, the kind of charting of the Colorado River and beyond. And he was the first one really to do that. So if he can explore the Grand Canyon with one arm down rapids, we're going to fix the website. Right? So, okay. So that's something you should know today. Grand Canyon turns 100, and it still goes up in attendance. So regardless of how much that we're linked to our devices, that national park is visited in record amounts and has been visited in record amounts for the last several years. I forgot my coffee / tea. Get out from underneath there. Okay. Okay, so that's something you should know today. A couple other things you should know. We're preparing for the big summit between the North Korean president and President Trump. Am I my 2-year-old now by my computer? Okay, good. That could be the reaction. I'm not sure. That's expected to start on Wednesday. I believe President Trump is really arriving in the location tonight. So even though he's traveled to Vietnam, that's what it says. Sometimes the timing of these meetings is not exactly precise or announced directly to the press. There's a lot of security concerns. So it's I don't want to say it's fluid, but it is a little fluid. So that's something that's going on. Also, you're going to see some headlines. Tomorrow, you're going to see Michael Cohen, former personal attorney, President Trump, testifying before Congress. You're going to see headlines today, as I did when I woke up, about what he's going to talk to Congress about regarding the president. I'm choosing not to go with some of those headlines today until we actually see what he says. Over the last several months, it's been very unpredictable. Yes.
I'm going to tell you something.
What do you need to tell me?
I banged myself on the gun, and and Liberty laughed.
Okay, well, that wasn't nice, but you should also not have the gun at the table. That's a rule, right? Just put it down. No guns at the table. This is something that I know you love it. Davy Crockett's gun. We don't have guns at the table. Okay, so what I want to tell you is just as you're seeing these headlines, just know that this is a hyper-partisan event. Michael Cohen has said many things over the last year or so. I'm not saying he's not, we shouldn't take his testimony seriously about what the president has or has not done, but like anything else, let's just wait. Let's just wait and see.
Mommy.
Yes.
Why did you put no guns at the table?
Because we shouldn't have our guns at the table. It's just a rule.
But tell me how. Why do you put your guns at the table?
Because you know why? Because it's not safe. We should always practice gun safety. And would you have a real gun ever at the table? No. We would always put our guns in a safe spot. And having your guns at the table is not safe.
Help me. This is mine, Chase.
Okay. So, second thing I think you should know today is, so again, some of this week is going to be a little bit wait and see. I really expect tomorrow to be a big news day. And so that's just what I want you guys to know. One of the things I took time doing yesterday is reading Warren Buffett's annual letter. And Warren Buffett's 88 years old. He's a self-made billionaire. He has an incredible story growing up in Omaha, Nebraska, and really doing what some call is value investing, which is choosing companies and stocks that he feels add value. I mean, it gets more complicated than that, but that's what, he sees a company he likes. It's like, wow, that's undervalued by everybody else, so I'm going to invest in that. And he's done everything such as investing in like Dairy Queen, furniture companies, all sorts of things. But what he said in his annual letter I thought was really, really important for all of us to hear. And I posted the portion of the letter on our website for you to read. Do not be deterred. It's going to look a little bit like economic, like an economic paper, but it's not. It's really well written, and he's an incredible writer. And one of the things he talks about is the American tailwind. And what he said is he has invested for the last 77 years because he bought his first stock at age 11. And I know, I didn't either. So, but that he did, and he's a billionaire. So, okay. So he bought his first stock at age 11, so he's been investing for 77 years. And what he did is he looked back at our nation in 77-year periods, going back to George Washington. And what he says is that one of his observations, his big takeaway, is the existence of the American tailwind, meaning the America in and of itself has been a force in the business world and in his life that has been remarkable. And we shouldn't forget that. And through Democrats and Republican administrations, through high deficits and war and economic cycles, that remains to be true. And so he wasn't, it's not like a rah-rah, like everyone put your money in the stock market. It's not like that, but he offers some really interesting perspective, and I think you should take some time to read it. If there's one thing you can do today, go to smarternews.com, click on that card. If you go to the source page, I'll put it up right on Instagram so you can get it very easily and on social media. I just think it's worth reading. It gives us some really interesting perspective about the American economy, and we're going to get some data this week that's going to tell us a little bit about how this year is starting off as far as the economy goes. So I want you to know about that. And then finally, this is just sort of like an interesting story to have in the back of your mind. Something that struck me the other week when the Wall Street Journal tackled this subject. And in Texas, there's a scheduled execution this week, the death penalty. The death penalty in Texas is well known because Texas is the state that often leads as executing the most people. Last year, 25 people were executed in America, 13 were in Texas. It's not always the case, by the way. Georgia recently executed more people than Texas, but in general. And so one of the things you should know about the death penalty in America is that it has been on the decline. It's not used as often. It's not handed out as often, but in a time of great divisiveness in America, it's a place where both Republicans and Democrats actually are starting to agree. And in certain red states, heavily Republican states, you're seeing legislation that would abolish the death penalty in those states. Republicans in general, I'm speaking very generally in polling, overwhelmingly support the death penalty where Democrats do not. But both parties have seen a decline for the support of the death penalty. And so it's just sort of an interesting thing. As we go back to the news of the week, whether we're talking about North Korea, Warren Buffett, the death penalty, I want you to remember the Grand Canyon and how we preserve parts of America. A lot of the storylines that we're constantly looking at are how we're defining ourselves as a nation. And we do that in very big open debates, and other countries do not do it that way. So often it can feel super divisive and very emotional and not always smooth and happy. But it's partly because we're debating it in the open. And in a lot of these big stories, that's what you're seeing. Those are the undertones. Like, does America believe in the death penalty? Do we believe in protecting national parks? Like, well, what do we expect from our president as far as his morals and his behavior? I mean, these are big themes. They're not just specific to certain people and certain topics. So I just want you to think about that as far as the news goes too. Okay. I think that's I think that's all for today. I'm gonna hopefully have this website issue taken care of. I don't know, in the next few days. I've had to adjust my expectations. Sometimes I think these things can be fixed quickly and they're not. But the content today is fine. It just might have taken several washes of it to get it up, and we'll continue to watch some of the big news items of the day. If you guys have any questions or stories you'd like us to cover, email us info@smarternews.com. I'm going to go see what the band is playing in the back with different, yeah, that's definitely kitchen pots and pans. And have a good day, you guys. Thanks again for all the support. I appreciate it. Have a good Tuesday.